Good morning, David. Here's your machine, the Breville Barista Pro, model BES878 in the brushed stainless steel. This is a refurbished unit. It's been used lightly for maybe 1 or 2 years. Fully checked, fully tested, fully cleaned by myself. Works like new, no problems at all. I've opened it up and checked the machine at full pressure. I've changed and flipped the seals, put some grease on them, tested everything at full pressure from the water side to the steam side, made sure there's zero leaks, zero error codes, and everything's working as per spec. In this video, I'll be making my morning latte on it, so I'll be testing obviously the grinder, brewing coffee, steaming milk, and also testing the hot water tap function. And in case this is your first coffee machine, I'll try to teach you a little bit about coffee making. So, my routine with this machine, I like to run a blank shot every time. So, a blank shot means that you have your handle empty, you lock it in, you get your cup empty, and you run a double shot of water. So that's going to provide warmth and heat up the group head, the handle, and the cup. I actually do the exact same procedure here on my Oracle Jet, which actually has the exact same heating element in the boiler. Same boiler and pump as the Barista Pro. So yeah, just to run everything up to temperature. Otherwise, if you don't do the warm-up cycle, if you leave the machine on, it's actually not producing any heat. When you turn it on in the morning and you leave it on, it's using zero power, apart from the screen, obviously. So to actually warm up the components, you need to run some hot water through them. If you don't do the warm-up procedure, I mean, that's fine. You can still make a drinkable coffee, but it may taste a bit sour because the moment that espresso hits your portafilter, metal part of the portafilter, and the moment it hits the room temperature cup, it's just going to cool down. And when you drink that black coffee, or even if you add milk, it may taste a bit cold or sour, which is not great. Anyway, let's do the warm up procedure. In the meantime, I'm going to pour some milk. Use my time effectively. You can do that once. So that's the double cup. It goes for 13 seconds. Let's try the single for you. Should go for about 10 or 11 seconds as well. It's pretty consistent with the flow meter. That's all done, nice and warm. Make sure you don't burn yourself. So, espresso, it's a recipe really. So the recipe for espresso is a 2-to-1 ratio in 30 seconds. What does that mean? It means for every gram you grind, you want 2 grams into the cup, and that should brew or take place in 30 seconds. The basket I'm using here in this video is the double shot single wall basket. This takes about 17 or 18 grams of coffee, depending on your coffee type and grind size. This will take, let's aim for 18 grams of coffee. So we'll try to grind for a duration that gives us 18 seconds. That's one part of the puzzle. The next part of the puzzle is the grind size. The grind size will dictate how quickly the coffee comes out. Okay? The grind size is changed by this dial on the left here. It goes from 1 up to 30. And 1 means it's a small grind size, it's a fine particle size, and it will slow down your shot. So your shot will take longer to brew. On the other hand, a larger grind size, so all the way closer to 30, is going to give you a bigger particle size, and the water is going to flow more quickly, so it'll give you a faster shot that takes less time. So think of the grind size as if it's a speed brew dial, or the brew speed dial. So a smaller grind size, smaller speed, larger grind size, larger speed. We want to aim for 30-second brew and 36 gram output. That's a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every gram we grind, we want 2 grams out. So 18 in, 36 grams out. A few grams here and there, a few seconds here and there, that's totally fine. Like if we get 34 or 40, I'm totally happy with that. If it takes 27 seconds or 33 seconds, I'm totally happy with that. Doesn't have to be an exact science, it just has to be close enough, because the closer it is to the recipe, usually it would taste better. Yeah, so I'm going to use grind size 12. I actually haven't made coffee on this exact unit yet. I've made coffee on hundreds of Barista Pros over the last 5 years, but not on this exact unit. But just having a look at the grind size by hand, it looks quite close to what my machine gives me and what espresso should be. So it looks nice and fine, not too fine like powder, and not too coarse like, dirt or like sand. Yeah, so to verify my inputs and outputs, I'm going to use my scale here. So I'm going to turn it on, make sure it starts on 0, and then I'm going to grind my double dose. So you can grind the double dose in one go. So let's say you grind for 12 seconds. You can grind for the full 12 seconds and then measure after. What I like to do, I like to stop it halfway, and then halfway I also press and make space for the next half. That way, I reduce the mess, I reduce the spillage on my counter and on the machine, and I reduce wasting beans and wasting my time figuring out how much I lost in the process. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop it halfway, lightly press, measure with my scale, then continue. And if we're on the right track, I'll use that. That's 6 seconds. Let's not waste any time. That's 9 grams, perfect. I'm going to lightly tap, continue. Alright, that's our second dose. Slowly take it out. Bunch it up in the middle. If there's any loose coffee around the edges, clean that up. So I'm going to flatten it with my palm. You can use your fingers to flatten it before you press. It's really important that you flatten it before you press, because if you don't flatten it and then it's like lots of coffee in the middle and not lots of coffee on the edges, the pressure in the middle will be higher and it won't extract evenly if the pressures aren't equal. 17.5 grams, I'm very happy with that. I'll leave it there. Now, if you don't have a scale, you've got 2 ways to verify that you have the right dose. The first way, or the first method, is you want to flatten the coffee, and if you haven't pressed it yet, but you've flattened it with your fingers, and it's flush with the top side of the basket or the top edge, then that's close enough. The other trick I have is, once you press it down with the tamper here, have a look. I mean, ideally you would press on the bench, but I'm pressing mid-air for the video. Anyway, once you press down, this silver part on your tamper should disappear when you have the correct dose. So I've got exactly 17.5 grams in here, which is the correct dose, and this silver part on the tamper disappears. So this should correlate with the depth of the coffee after you've pressed it down. Actually, one bonus way to verify that you have the right dose, you can use a razor tool. So your machine comes with all of the accessories, it looks like, all the accessories that it comes with when you buy it new. So you should use the razor tool. It basically calibrates the depth. You can use it to check the depth or even to trim down the top layer. So if you have too much coffee and you notice that the depth is definitely shallower than this silver part, you can see it's very close to the edge after you've pressed, that's too much coffee. So you use this to scrape off the top layer. And here I am scraping a tiny bit of coffee, but it's honestly pretty insignificant. I'll do it anyway. So we've trimmed a couple hundreds of a gram, or a couple tenths of a gram. Yeah, so now 17.2. So, pretty good. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, you can use that razor tool to verify that you have the correct dose or the correct depth of coffee. So in this case, it's around 17 grams. You can dial this back by half a second, and that will give you closer to 17 grams next time. So I'll leave it there. Now, next part is actually brewing the coffee. So we've got 17 grams in here. Lock in the middle. Get your cup and empty that hot water. If you like to add any sugar, flavors, sweetener, I recommend that you add them before you brew the coffee. Because once you start brewing the coffee and the coffee starts to come down, it will mix nicely with all the flavors and it gives you a more even cup at the end. Sweet. Now I'm going to reset my scale. And the last piece of the puzzle, the output. Your machine has preset buttons, so single and double, when you reset its factory settings, but you can also customize these buttons. You can customize the length from as little as 20 mils of coffee output to as much as 200 mils, if I remember correctly. So we'll be aiming for about 35 to 40 grams. I'm going to do it by eye, but then I'm going to measure after. I would recommend you get a scale, because in the first few days of making coffee on this machine, you won't exactly have the perfect settings, right? You'll probably be using different beans to me, and you may have to tweak the settings a little bit on the grind size, on the grind amount, and on the brew time. You might have to play with those. But what I'm trying to do in this video is I'm not only teaching you how to set up the coffee and set up the machine properly with whatever coffee beans, I'm also going to set it up to these beans specifically. So hopefully if you buy decent beans that are close enough to quality to these ones, you'll be getting very similar results. Does that make sense? So I'm using the Aldi dark bean variety. Most supermarket beans, unfortunately, are not great. They're stale by the time you buy them off the shelves. But Aldi is one of the few ones that are high quality and freshly roasted. So they actually roast them here in Richmond, in Melbourne. So they're pretty good quality when you buy them off the shelves. And they give me pretty good results. Most of my customers use them and they're pretty happy. Right, so if you use the dark beans from Aldi, you might get very similar results to me. Again, I'm using grind size 12, grind output 11, grind amount 11. And let's set up the double shot to give us a double shot. And unfortunately from factory, the double shot button goes for too long. I remember it gives me between 50 to 60 mils, which is too much. I want to aim for closer to 35 to 40. So how do I do that? I will go to the menu, I'll go to the custom option, and then I'm gonna press, and then this button will light up. When I press it, it will start to make coffee. And then when I press it again, it will stop making coffee and memorize that quantity that it gave me. And generally it's pretty consistent. You know, tomorrow if I make the exact same shot with the same coffee beans, I'll get very similar results. So let's hope that the grind size is not too large or too slow. So let's hope that by the 30-second mark we have the correct amount of coffee. And let's hope that that I get the dose correct by eye. I generally do. It's about here. It's 40 mils, just below this green band on my cup here. So let's press the button. You've got a timer on the screen, so it'll tell you how many seconds the pump has been running for. Just started to run. It's actually pretty quiet. I don't know if you can hear. All right. Right off the bat, I can tell it's running a bit too quick, so I'll stop it there. That's 13 seconds and we already got our full dose. Not great. That's 37 grams. So hopefully, if we reduce the grind size, it will slow things down. So we're grind size 12. I'm going to reduce it all the way down to, let's say grind size, I want to use grind size 6. Let's use grind size 6. So I'm going to start grinding and then I'm going to reduce the grind size. So that's grind size 6, about half. Should slow things down nicely for us. That does look fine to my hand, to my eyes, sorry. I'm quickly going to clean it up. So I have to clean it up. Just knock it into a bin. It falls off pretty easily. Let's do the process all over again, because that's coffee, right? You have to dial it in. It doesn't magically become perfect from day one. So reset the scale. We're using grind size 6. Make sure we've got enough beans in there. I might add a couple more. Okay, so we'll do this very similar. Actually, I might increase the grind amount to 13 seconds, because when we reduce the grind size, we increase the resistance on the motor, so it'll grind less in the same amount of time. So we've gone up to 13 seconds. I'm still going to stop it halfway and measure. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's hope that that's the right dose. See what I mean? When you don't do that stopping halfway, you spill a little bit of coffee, but it's not too significant in my case, so that's fine. 17 grams. That's pretty good. I'll leave it there. Maybe 17.2 without the losses that we just sustained. Okay, so flatten it with your palm and grab the temper. Where's the temper? Make sure you apply nice even pressure all around. And just like before, we're not going to go through the whole thing again. But yeah, the silver part disappears when you press. You've got the right dose. Pretty happy with that. Lock it in. I'm going to get my cup. Sorry, that my cup. I'm just going to try to clean it. Okay. Just like before, add your flavors before the shot. And reset my scale again, and let's adjust the settings again, because I think when you adjust the settings on a very incorrect grind size, it affects the pressure and affects the extraction, let's say extraction volume. So I'm gonna do that again. Hopefully it's a bit slower this time, more controlled and closer to our target, 30 seconds. It looks much better. It started flowing around the 8-second mark. It sounds like it's hitting the full pressure now. Before it was running too quickly, I think. I'm going to let it run for another 3 seconds or so. There we go, that's 25 seconds. I'll stop it there. Got a very decent amount of crema. We had really nice, smooth, consistent flow out of both spouts, and the output was 38 grams. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I will leave it there, because while you could, slow down the grind size a little bit more to grind size number 5, and that might give you closer to 30-second brew. I think it's pretty good here. It looks really good. Let me show you what it looks like by eye. Sorry about the mess. But yeah, that's 38 grams. This is what it looks like. Very nice, very nice. About a centimeter of foam. So that's a bit of sugar, not dust. Yeah, so about a centimeter of crema. If you drink espresso straight, then that's your shot, that's your drink. Just a tip is to always mix up the crema. The crema is very bitter and strong. So if you want to get an even cup, mix it up. Then you can have it as an espresso straight in an espresso cup. But obviously in our case we are doing a latte. So we're going to be adding some milk. Oh, that tastes so good. You also have a hot water tap here. So if you want to add water to make this Americano coffee style, if you want to add water to make someone a tea bag or whatever, you can use the hot water tap here. You just turn this away from you, you get straight hot water from the boiler, rather than from the group head, because the group head can sometimes have loose coffee grounds that can get into your Americano or whatever. But if you use it from the hot water tap, it's nice and clean. I recommend you clean the machine straight away and not let it sit. So knock the coffee puck into a bin, it falls off very easily. Then I recommend you run a flush cycle after that. So that's gonna clean both of your handle and shower screen in one go. And if you want to be extra nice to your machine, wipe that group head with a tissue. See, there's a little bit of coffee grounds. Even after you flush, there's a little bit of loose coffee coffee fines and grounds in there. So it's important that you clean those up so they don't build up over time and give you a blockage or a difficult handle locking situation. Alrighty, so that's my shot. Let's make it into a latte. So I filled this milk jug, it's actually your milk jug. Filled it just below the spout line there, so just there, with cold full cream milk straight from the fridge. The colder it is, the more time you have to froth and give it texture. So that's what the experts recommend. Yeah, so to steam, just turn the style towards you. It'll take about 5 seconds to engage steam mode. And turn it off, and then position yourself. So you want to put the jug at an angle, and you want to put the wand close to the edge of the jug and spinning the milk in the vortex. The closer you are to the surface of the milk, the more foam you'll be getting. So we don't want too much foam for a latte, so we'll stay close to the edge for maybe 10 seconds or so. But then after that, I'm going to raise the jug. So now I'm no longer injecting air into the milk. And now I'm just spinning it, mixing it up, heating it up. So in the end, we'll try to get a nice smooth finish. Otherwise, if you want a really thick cappuccino style, you can stay closer to the surface a bit longer, maybe 15 seconds, and it'll give you a thicker foam. When it's too hot to the touch, turn it off, and then it will cool down itself. It'll purge some water. Very important after, and I recommend this for every machine. You have to clean it. I can't speak. You have to clean the machine. It's not going to clean itself. So you have to turn it on and let it purge steam for maybe 3 seconds. Just to clean those holes, right? So milk, once you finish steaming, that milk will act like a clot tomorrow morning. And it'll harden, it'll block the tips, and then you turn on the machine and, oh, what's happening? Where's my steam? It's all building up and pressurizing inside. Thankfully, the machine does have an overpressure valve, so like a safety feature in case it's blocked. It will relieve that steam pressure down into the valve, down through the valve into the tray. So it actually won't explode inside with steam because this machine is nicely designed. But just to prevent that altogether, you can just clean the wand on the inside by turning on the steam for a couple seconds after you finish your milk. The other important thing is to clean the outside as well. So grab a wet towel, scrub, and wipe it clean. The sooner you do this, the easier it is. If you keep it longer and longer and you come tomorrow morning, it'll be very hard. It'll be like a thick coat of milk that will need, hot water and soaking in hot water to get rid of. But in this case, it just wipes easily with a cloth. Right. So, very nice smooth milk texture that we got today. Very happy with it. You want to swirl the jug around to mix it up. And if you've got any air bubbles, tap, 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 and it'll break those up. Keep doing this until the surface is nice and smooth. It should resemble wet paint. There we go. Oh, very nice milk texture. I just messed it up because I'm not a barista. But I think I got a bit of a love heart situation with a few squiggles. Maybe a very thin love heart, but a love heart nonetheless. It looks really good, man. I wish you could smell it. Smells really good, looks really good. Very smooth, cafe quality coffee. Once you figure out milk texturing and get the right settings on the grinder, you should be making really good coffees really soon. Like I said, this machine I'm using, let me take a photo there. It's grind size 6, grind amount 13 seconds, brew using the double button, and 13 double button, using full cream cow's milk, and his result, very nice. Sure, you can make the same coffees and better. thanks for your time. Hope you enjoy the machine. Any questions, don't hesitate, and I will see you soon. Thanks, David.